can't touch it, you can't stop them. As much as I try to scream and reach for the screen, it does not work, unfortunately. And I'm back, guys. Welcome to another 31 Days of Horror. Yes, I just watched Super Dark Times. I told you guys in the last video I've been waiting to watch this film for a really long time. I want to say, I don't want to use the word disappointed, but I was slightly let down by this film. But I really, I don't know, I kind of enjoyed it at the same time. It's hard to explain. I'll get into it. So this film has been compared to Mean Creek and Bully, which is two of my favorite films. And I mean, this is called a horror thriller drama, I believe. It's like a dark film, and it really zeroes in on one experience, and I like films that make you think about that kind of thing and are very emotional and very in tune with the characters and what they're going through, instead of just like slashers and people running around killing each other. Like, it's nice to have a switch up where it's actually quite thoughtful. So this has been compared to those two films, which I really love, but unfortunately this one kind of loses it a little bit in the middle, and I think everyone can kind of agree on that with this film. It is about a bunch of kids who are friends, and they're goofing around and something unfortunate happens, and they have to learn to process these feelings, and yeah, so it's really meant to be about them processing it, especially from the main character's point of view, and how to, you know, get back on track when something like that happens, and dealing with things that children shouldn't have to deal with. That is like the best way I can kind of talk about it without telling you what goes on, but when you see it start happening, oh my god, I was like, oh my god, no. Like, I could see what was about to happen, and I didn't want it to happen, and I'm just like watching it, and you can't control it, you can't touch it, you can't stop them. As much as I try to scream and reach for the screen, it does not work, unfortunately. So some great tension on their behalf. I think that the film is, the way that it's shot is really lovely and beautiful, and it's very similar to Mean Creek in that respect as well, where it's shot with a lot of like slow-mos, very close-up shots, very much focusing on moments and lighting and the way objects or people move. It's just a beautifully shot film, and it definitely takes something very dark, and also like boys going through puberty is not like the most beautiful thing, and they, you know, they twist it and make it into something beautiful, which is quite interesting with the subject matter. I read a few like just headlines of what people thought about this film, and a lot of people said that they kind of lost their way in the middle, and I was like, no, this film was gonna have it. At the start, I was all about it. I'm like, this is great, the way it draws you in. The characters are realistic, which is very rare in these kind of movies, and you know, even if the character's like problematic or whatever, like it's the whole point is that they're problematic, and it really zeroes in on that, and I think that they really painted these young boys really well. Like, it made sense the way they were, and so I had so much hope for it, but yeah, it did lose it in the middle, which, hear me out here, can sometimes be a good thing, because if structure like just completely goes missing, sometimes you're like, what the hell's going on? But that can be good in a movie which is a horror movie, because you're not really sure what's going to happen next, so the element of surprise is still in the room. But unfortunately for this film, it wasn't the way, because it wasn't like an action-packed horror movie where you're, you know, holding on tension. It was a drama where you're meant to be like really wondering what's going to happen with these characters and where they're going to go. And in the end, I was very surprised where it ended up, because I did not see any of that coming. I feel like we've been saying that a lot these 31 Days of Horror, but man, I was like, is this really happening? So I feel like this film definitely leaves you with more questions than gives you answers. You're just, the whole time I'm like, what? I don't get that reasoning, and yeah, so it kind of lost me there. I really liked the idea of it, and I wanted to like it, but there were so many things that just left me wondering what was going on. I thought that Owen Campbell, who plays Zach, the main character, was phenomenal from the start. I was like, this guy, he looks like an average boy. He doesn't look too old, where a lot of movies, you know, they look too old. And he just looks really average. I know that's really bad to say, but he looks the part, and his character was so likable, and you could see his thought process. And they did use a lot of like, you know, flash into his thoughts to like really make the story come together. But I really, really liked him. And I think the guy that played him was just like dead on. And yeah, I love the feeling. I love the vibe. I love like how awkward and sad and real it is. The realism in this film is more than any other film that's been on this list. It's true and it's sad and it's heartbreaking, but it doesn't make much sense, unfortunately. So for that, I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. Wow, I'm so glad I finally saw this. Again, I keep saying this, but thank you for suggesting this because it has been on my watch list for a long time. If you like Mean Creek and you like Bully and you like movies that really focus in on a situation and you know, like a horrific situation where we see a lot of horror movies gloss over and it's just like how much blood and how much gore can you get, where this film really focuses on a single situation and how people process it, and I think that's really interesting. It's more like psychological in a way. Thank you guys so much for being here and hanging out with me. Don't forget, tomorrow is a very special 31 Days of Horror. It's actually live, and this will be live with my Patreons on this channel. If you want to watch along with us, we're going to kind of talk through the movie, and hopefully it'll be good because it's going to be opera, so it's going to be like a giallo film, so it'll be a fun one to watch. Some beautiful cherry blood, I'm sure. If you want to come hang out, I'll leave the time right here. Come hang out, come join us, be part of our crew, and see what happens in the Patreon, because it is really a lot of fun, and we've got some colorful characters over there. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for a live 31 Days of Horror. Oh my god. And then we'll be back to normal after that. I love you guys so much. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye.